Have you ever felt like the endless pursuit of wellness is actually wearing you out? Here is the paradox. The intense gym sessions, the restrictive diets, that constant pressure to find a burning passion. What if I told you that these things might actually be aging us faster? Just look at the women of Okinawa, one of the world's famous blue zones. You see women in their 90s who are sharp, vibrant, and full of life. But here's the secret. They aren't spending hours in the gym. They aren't obsessing over calorie counts. So, what is keeping their inner fire burning so bright? The answer lies in stillness. Today, I am not going to hand you another exhausting to-do list.
And then
you have enough of those.
Tried to wear my hat.
Instead, I want to share 9
silly
tiny
thing.
Japanese habits.
You must be
Quiet
joking.
philosophies that heal your mind and body from inside out. So that aging isn't a decline, but a beautiful transformation. And please, stay with me until the end, because I'm going to reveal the truth about Ikigai, the concept of life purpose. It's something we in the West have misunderstood for years. And learning the truth, well, it's going to set you free. Let's begin. The first habit is Kaizen. I affectionately call this the art of intelligent laziness. Now, usually when people talk about
reports by 3
Kaizen,
o'clock sharp.
they talk about
I'm waiting on the
Toyota,
final numbers from
about
Peterson.
corporate
He just sent them
efficiency,
over. Check your email
about
now.
doing more. But at our stage in life, let's be honest with each other. We don't need more hustle. We need more grace. So, I want you to reframe Kaizen. It is simply about breaking a goal down so small that it is literally impossible to fail. Think about it using this simple flow. We all want a tidy home and a body that moves without pain, right? But maybe our back aches a little more these days, or the emotional load of caring for everyone else has left us drained. Therefore, instead of forcing yourself to push through, we use the 1-minute rule. Don't promise yourself you'll walk for 30 minutes a day. That feels heavy. Promise yourself just one thing. You will put on your sneakers and step out the door. That's it. Mission accomplished. If you step out and want to come back inside immediately, that is fine. But the magic is, once the shoes are on, you usually keep going. This approach removes the friction. It replaces guilt with momentum. And once you start listening to your body's need for gentleness and movement, you realize it needs that same gentleness when it comes to food. Which leads us directly to our second secret, a golden rule for your waistline and your longevity. This leads us beautifully into the second habit, a Japanese mantra known as Hara, Hachi, Bu. I know, at our age, our relationship with food can often feel like a battleground. We worry about our slowing metabolism. We stress over the number on the scale. And sometimes it feels like we gain weight just by looking at a dessert. But Hara Hachi Bu is not about deprivation or strict dieting. It simply translates to eat until you are 80% full. Why 80%? Well, biology tells us that while our stomach knows when it's full, our brain has a lag time. It takes about 20 minutes for the I'm full signal to travel from your belly to your brain. So, if you keep eating until you feel 100% stuffed, you have actually overeaten. You've burdened your body with more than it can handle. That isn't nourishment, that is stress. Stopping at 80% is an act of self-love. It's that sweet spot where you feel satisfied, but still light enough to take a comfortable walk. Now, how do you find that 80% point? I have 2 simple secrets for you. First, try the small bowl rule. Here in the West, we are used to massive dinner plates, and our eyes want to fill that empty space. The Japanese use beautiful small bowls and plates. This simple visual trick satisfies your mind without overloading your body. Second, adopt the put the fork down rule. After every single bite, put your fork or chopsticks down on the table. Breathe. Chew slowly. Do not pick it up again until you have swallowed. This tiny pause gives your brain the time it needs to catch up with your stomach. When you do this, you are not restricting yourself. You're freeing yourself from the heaviness of overeating. And once your body feels that lightness, it is ready to absorb a powerful medicine from nature. Something specifically proven to help with sleep and hormonal balance. Once your body feels lighter with Hara, Hachi, we move to the third habit. This is a natural remedy that I believe is absolutely vital for women at our stage of life. Shinrin-Yoku, or forest bathing. I know many of us are dealing with sleepless nights, sudden hot flashes, or that low-level anxiety that often comes with menopause. Our minds feel like a computer browser with too many tabs open. We are exhausted, yet we just can't seem to shut down. Shinrin-Yoku is a restart button your nervous system is craving. Now, please hear me on this. Forest bathing is not exercise. It is not hiking. It is not about getting your steps in. If you're walking through the woods while listening to a podcast or planning dinner in your head, that is not Shinrin-Yoku. It is simply about bathing in the atmosphere of the trees. Science tells us that trees release protective organic compounds called phytoncides. When we breathe these in, our cortisol levels drop, our blood pressure lowers, and our immune system gets a gentle boost. It is nature's aromatherapy. So, how do you do this in your local park or even your backyard? I want you to try the 5-4-3-2-1 technique. It is the quickest way to pull your mind out of your worries and ground you in the present moment. Stop walking, stand still, and find 5 things you can see. The light filtering through leaves, a wildflower, the texture of tree bark. For things you can touch, the roughness of a trunk, the cool grass, the breeze on your cheek. 3 sounds you can hear: a bird singing, leaves rustling, your own breath. 2 things you can smell: damp earth, pine needles. And 1 thing you can taste or sense in your mouth: just the freshness of the air. When you engage your senses like this, you will physically feel your shoulders drop. You will feel your breath deepen. You are finally connected. And once you learn how to fill your senses with nature, you realize an interesting paradox. To truly find peace, sometimes we don't need to add more. We need to create space. This brings us to a beautiful concept that we in the West have completely forgotten. We have talked about eating and moving, the things we do, but this 4th habit might be the most important of all, because it is about what you don't do. The Japanese call it ma-jan. Here in the West, and especially in America, we seem to have a fear of emptiness. We treat our calendars like a game of Tetris, filling every gap with appointments. We fill our homes with stuff. We fill silence with chatter because quiet feels awkward. We often wear busy
Unlock the secret
like a badge
to timeless
of honor.
beauty.
But
This revolutionary cream
teaches
visibly
us the
reduces
opposite.
fine lines
Think
and
about
restores
music
your
for a
youthful
moment.
glow.
Without the silence between the notes, you would just have continuous, chaotic noise. It is the pause that makes the melody beautiful. Your life is the same. Ma is the negative space where life breathes, where you regenerate. So, how do we bring Ma into our busy lives without moving to a monastery? Try these 2 simple shifts. First, create Ma in your space. When you declutter, don't just view it as a chore. See it as creating breathing room for your home. Clear off a countertop, or leave a corner of the room intentionally empty. That empty space isn't wasted. It is a resting place for your eyes and your mind. Second, and this is the harder part, create Ma in your time. I challenge you to try this. Every afternoon, take just 10 minutes to do absolutely nothing. No TV, no scrolling on your phone, no folding laundry, and most importantly, no guilt. Just sit in your favorite chair, maybe with a cup of tea, and look out the window. In our culture, doing nothing is often labeled as lazy, but in the spirit of Ma, that stillness is simply allowing your soul to catch up with your body. And once you create that precious silence, the noise of the world
Everything
fades
looks
away.
wonderful, darling.
That is when and only
the
when
best picnic
you can
spot in the
finally
park.
hear the true
Cheers.
whisper of your own heart. Which brings us to the surprising truth about life's purpose that I promised to share. And now, with your mind quieted by the
I
space
have
of
had
Ma,
enough.
we
When
arrive
is it
at the
going
fifth
to
habit.
stop? I
This
just
is
want
where
a
I fulfill the
break.
promise I made at the start, revealing the truth about Ikigai.
Shouganai.
If you ever search for Ikigai on Google or Pinterest, you have likely seen that famous Venn diagram of 4 overlapping circles. What you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and the kicker, what you can be paid for. I want you to do me a favor right now. Forget that diagram. That is a westernized version, adapted for business culture, for the Japanese, and according to experts like neuroscientist Ken Magi, true Ikigai does not require money. It doesn't need to be a career. Think about it. If Ikigai required being paid, would that mean retirees like us or homemakers have no purpose? Of course not. That would be absurd. True Ikigai is much softer, much more intimate. It is a joy found in the small, mundane things. The Japanese refer to this as the appreciation of Mie-nai, the beauty of invisible things. Your Ikigai might simply be the feeling of cool soil on your hands when you garden.
That is so
It
thoughtful
might
of
be
you.
the
They smell
aroma of that
wonderful.
very first cup of coffee in the morning.
I just wanted to tell
It
you what
might
a
be the
lovely
smile on your
you have.
grandchild's face when you
thank
bake
you
cookies.
so much. That means a lot.
Or just the sensation of warm sun on your skin
It's so wonderful
while
to see
walking the
everyone
dog.
together again.
You see,
It really is.
you don't need to
The
save the
turnout this
world
year
or make
is
$1 million
incredible.
to have Ikigai. You just need to know how to savor the present moment. Here's a message I need you to hear. When you retire, you do not lose your value. Your job title never defined you. Your capacity for joy is what defines you. So, release the pressure to find some grand, burning passion. Start with a tiny, Mie-nai joys. And once you start looking at life through this lens of appreciating the small things, you naturally learn to love the imperfect things too, including the lines on your own face. Which brings us to a profoundly beautiful philosophy. Once you learn to find joy in the mundane, you are ready for the 6th habit, a beautiful marriage of 2 philosophies, Wabi-Sabi and Kintsugi. We live in a culture that seems to be at war with aging. Look at the commercials. Anti-aging creams, Botox, hair dyes to cover the gray. Society constantly whispers to us that aging is a failure, that wrinkles are flaws that need to be fixed. But Wabi-Sabi teaches us the exact opposite. It is the art of finding beauty in the imperfect, in things that bear the marks of time. An old wooden table with scratches
Finally.
has so much more soul than a brand new plastic one. Why? Because it has a story. And when that imperfection becomes a break, the Japanese have Kintsugi. When a precious bowl breaks, the craftsman doesn't throw it away. Instead, they repair the cracks with lacquer mixed with powdered gold. The result? The cracks aren't hidden. They are illuminated. The bowl becomes more beautiful and more valuable because it has been broken. I want you to look in the mirror. Those lines around your eyes, they are not signs of decay. They are the Kintsugi of your life. They are the golden tracks of the thousands of times you have laughed with your loved ones, that scar from the surgery, or the stretch marks from childbirth. They are proof that you survived, that you gave life, that you are resilient. So please, stop trying to fix yourself as if you're a broken merchandise. You are a masterpiece of Kintsugi. You are not just getting older. You are becoming more valuable, etched with the gold of wisdom and experience. But to maintain this grace through life's storms, we need a specific kind of inner strength, not just tough endurance, but a delicate balance between holding on and letting go. This brings us to our next pair of philosophies. The 7th habit is actually a pair of philosophies.
Are we ever going to move?
And I believe they're the secret to keeping your spirit young.
This is just
no matter your
great.
age. Gaman and Shouganai. We often hear about Japanese resilience. That is Gaman, enduring with dignity. But here in the West, we sometimes misunderstand this. We think Gaman means suppressing our feelings or suffering in silence. It does not. Gaman is that quiet strength that says, this is hard, but I can handle it. It is when you show up for your physical therapy exercises every single morning for your bad back, even when you don't feel like it. You don't complain, you don't quit, because you are fighting for your well-being. But if we only have Gaman, we might break under pressure. That is why we need its partner, Shouganai. Shouganai roughly translates to, it cannot be helped, or it is what it is. Now, to American ears, that might sound like giving up, but actually, it is the ultimate form of liberation. Shouganai is the wisdom to accept what is completely out of your control, so your mind can stay at peace. Imagine you plan the perfect outdoor picnic, and suddenly, it starts pouring rain. You could get angry, you could cry, you could curse the weather report, but the rain will still fall. You are only hurting yourself. Instead, the Japanese spirit says, Shouganai, it's raining, it can't be helped. And they happily move the picnic inside. The formula for happiness at our age is knowing the difference. Use Gaman for the things you can change, like your health, your habits, your attitude. Use Shouganai for the things you cannot change, like the weather, traffic, or the past. When you balance resilience with surrender, you find a profound sense of peace. You stop wasting energy fighting against the flow of life. And when your own cup is full of peace, you finally have capacity to pour into others, which leads us to our final habit of connection. And finally,
You're doing so well.
we arrive at the
Growing
eighth habit,
bigger
the piece that completes the puzzle of our lives, Omwayari. I know that for many of us, the biggest fear of aging isn't illness, it is loneliness. The kids have grown up and left the nest. The house feels a little too big, a little too quiet. Sometimes, walking through the road, we can start to feel invisible. But the Japanese have a beautiful antidote for this. Omwayari is often translated as hospitality or politeness, but it goes so much deeper. It is anticipatory empathy, the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes
Take care.
and feel what they need before they even ask. Why does this cure loneliness? Because loneliness thrives when we focus inward. Why hasn't anyone called me? Why do I feel sad? Omwayari flips that focus outward.
You too.
When you are busy thinking about how to brighten someone else's day, your own loneliness naturally begins to dissolve. You don't need grand gestures. Try creating a ripple effect today. Write a handwritten note, yes, with pen and paper, to an old friend you haven't seen in years. Bake an extra batch of cookies and take them to the new neighbor down the street. Or simply genuinely smile and ask the cashier at the grocery store how her day is going. These acts seem tiny, but they are the golden threads that weave you back into the fabric of your community. When you pour out kindness, you don't just warmly receive this heart. You rekindle the fire in your own. And so, we have traveled a long way together today.
Stop it. Let's just get this in
From
the
caring for our bodies, to soothing our minds, to connecting our souls. Now, let's bring it all together. So, we have woven together 8 tiny but profound habits. Let's look at the tapestry we have created. We started by bringing lightness to our bodies with Hara, Hachi, and embracing the gentle progress of Kaizen. We found stillness for our minds in the forest with Shinrin-Yoku and the quiet spaces of Ma. And finally, we healed our souls by honoring our imperfections with Wabi-Sabi, accepting what is with Shouganai, and connecting deeply through Omwayari. I want you to hold on to this thought. Society often tells us that aging is a decline, a slide down the hill. But they are wrong. Aging is actually an ascent. It is climbing a mountain. Yes, as you get higher, the air might get a little thinner, and your steps might get a little slower. But the view from the summit is spectacular. It is a perspective of peace and wisdom that you simply couldn't see when you were 20. Now, please don't feel pressured to do all 8 of these at once. Just pick one. Start tiny. To make sure you don't feel overwhelmed, I have created a special gift just for you. It is my 7-day Japanese slow living checklist. I've done the thinking for you. It guides you day by day. Today, try the small
there.
bowl.
Come on
Tomorrow,
in.
try forest bathing. The next day, find your Ikigai joy. It is completely free, and the link is waiting for you right there in the description below. Download it, print it out, and stick it on your fridge as a gentle reminder. Thank you for spending your precious time here with me today. Slow down, breathe deep, and cherish the masterpiece that is you. Until next time.